Thanks for joining me on Tropical Weather Impact. Happy Friday. It is August the 8th here. Hurricane season rolling on, but still no big threats for you to stress about this weekend. There's a couple features we'll be tracking here, but we don't see any significant problems for really any land over the next couple of days and through early parts of next week. Here's where we stand officially with what the National Hurricane Center is tracking. This morning, we have a 10% chance of development off the East Coast. That chance has been dropping, and notice the chances of Invest 96 developing have also been decreasing. These chances because the Atlantic is just not a hospitable place for a tropical system right now. We're talking dry air, we're talking wind shear, and also stability issues. There's not enough rising air in the Atlantic to help these systems flourish into something. And so far we've done pretty good here, but these are two features we'll be watching, but I don't think they're going to be an issue for really anybody. A couple other features. We're going to talk about this big burst of showers and storms near Florida, where that is heading, and also off the coast of Africa. We're getting tropical waves. They're rolling off, and those are ones that we're going to have to watch long term. When I say long term, you're talking a week and a half to 2.5 weeks away. It's a long time in meteorology. So here's this moisture. It's unorganized. It's a blob of showers and some thunderstorms. It really blossomed this morning over Florida. We've got a couple showers in the Gulf. Now this is going to be sliding into the Gulf this weekend. It will have a solid 2-3 days of traveling across the Gulf. The moisture, and luckily, we just don't think it's going to develop into much of anything. Now, there are some scenarios where we do get some weak low pressure forming. Remember weeks ago when we tracked those two areas, 2 weeks in a row of moisture traveling across the northern Gulf? We got a weak low pressure, a little rain, and that's about it. We will be watching for the same thing this weekend and really early next week, but it just looks like a little extra moisture here. I'm not even sure the flood risk is going to be elevated much more than it usually is in the summer months, but that moisture concentrated across the northern Gulf. New Orleans, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. We'll watch this into early next week. Here we are next Tuesday afternoon. Again, development chances of this just don't appear very likely at the moment. Now, we will watch this through the weekend. You should check in daily to make sure there's nothing too sneaky going on with it. But the thinking is you'll just see showers and storms pulse up and down over the next 4 days or so as that moisture travels across the Gulf. Look at Sunday evening. The western Gulf is dry and warm. The eastern Gulf is stormy. It is thanks to that tropical moisture. Now, we're not seeing a huge signal for flooding rains from this feature. This is the GFS model in the next 7 days showing very classic hit or miss storms producing downpours at times. The European model is a bit more aggressive, but even still 1, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain spread out over 7 days. That's nothing on the Gulf Coast. I mean, you can get that in an afternoon storm sometimes. And so the signal for flooding is not extremely high right now. We'll monitor it though. We'll keep an eye on that tropical moisture. Let's talk about the two other features. The one off the East Coast, not a whole lot to it. The Hurricane Center is less impressed with it. The system just does not look like it's coming together. Now, we do have a disturbed area of showers and storms. This is somewhat of a broad low pressure, more so maybe a non-tropical system that's going to be sliding north of Bermuda. So don't see any problems with that feature as we go throughout the rest of the weekend and early next week. Now, the Invest 96, they're still giving it a 50% chance of development, but looking at the latest data at least, they may continue to drop that number because models and our ensemble models are a lot less excited about this becoming anything. It's been battling dry air. I'm going to show you some dry air here in just a second, but that thing is not looking healthy here. And you also notice it's growing more and more likely that this thing stays out to sea, whether it develops or not. If it does become a named storm, we're thinking out to sea it goes. Satellite this morning, visible satellite, the sun has been up on this for a few hours. You can see it's still somewhat tied into the monsoon trough. You can also see it's had a little burst of a few showers, but that thing is tiny and it just is not looking healthy. You see all these other clouds? You see how there's streaks and lines? That means these showers and thunderstorms are probably dying off with some dry air. They're collapsing, they're sending out outflow boundaries. And so you got this like wispy look to all these clouds here. That's not a sign of a healthy developing tropical system. Again, there is still an off chance maybe it does. It's in warm waters, but the dry air and the stability of the Atlantic have just been dominating over the course of the past 4 weeks or so. And so until the Atlantic transitions into a more favorable environment, I think these tropical waves are still going to struggle quite a bit here. Our Invest, it is being run in our tropical models. This thing, you know, if it does become a named storm, traveling northwest through the weekend, look at next week, heading north. This thing has been trending even more and more out to sea here and much weaker. And so I'm not even sure we're going to have a named storm in here. It may just be a little moisture traveling east of Bermuda later on into next week. So this is a week from now. That system somewhere out here, maybe a whole lot of nothing. So that's what's going on with Invest 96. Let's talk about what the future holds for the Atlantic, because if you do look at models, if you look at any of the models, the European, the GFS, the European AI model, they all show the Atlantic waking up in 2 to 3 weeks. Next week and the week beyond, they show the potential for maybe some problems. Now, is that credible? It's hard to say because the Atlantic has not been a favorable place, and the models have been playing catch up or playing reverse, really, going from active to less active with Invest 96. So does that trend continue with this next tropical wave that's going to be rolling off? We've got multiple waves that are going to be rolling off and being tied into this monsoon trough later next week and the week beyond. Now, it's sometimes hard, even if you have these tropical waves, to get something to consolidate and actually form, especially when the Atlantic is still dealing with stability problems. It's still dealing with the dry air. And so until the Atlantic starts to actually change, these models may be overdoing these features. Now, they may not. The Atlantic is going to be going into a favorable, what we think favorable environment. You've got all these things lining up that towards the middle and end of August, it would be shocking to not see something out here. And so we'll just have to sit back and wait here. Models, sometimes they just don't get it right. Sometimes there are things going on that aren't as obvious, but one thing that's obvious, look at this. This is a big plume of Saharan dust. That's Invest 96 right now. It's got the dry air, it's got stability problems. The new tropical wave is coming in right in here. You've got a lot of Saharan dust coming out with it as it pushes out over the Atlantic. That Saharan dust is going to travel fairly quickly across the Atlantic. Now, that tropical wave is not moving as fast as the dust itself. And so if you see this little red blob, there's the Cape Verde. That's the tropical wave models are really thinking has the potential. Now, it's going to be tied into that monsoon trough here. So we'll have to see how it interacts with that. That'll be interesting. But that initial plume of dust is going to travel out over the Atlantic. Here we are by Monday and Tuesday of next week. The islands are getting a nice dose of dust here. Meanwhile, that tropical wave we're maybe watching next week is still sitting out in the central Atlantic. That thing is not going to be in a hurry to move. It's going to be tied into that monsoon trough here. And models are depicting that trough breaks pieces off and they try to form here. And that doesn't always work out that way. And so models do often struggle with that. So that's why I just say beware what the models are actually showing. And just know they're going to be showing vastly different scenarios for next week and the week beyond. Now, it is certainly in the realm of possibility that as we go out in time, as we fast forward to next Thursday and Friday, this is 6 days from now, you can see their models still showing that potential for a tropical system maybe approaching the islands here by the end of next week. At the same time, we still have some dust. It's not a lot, but we have some dust, and we'll have to see what the atmosphere actually looks like out in the Atlantic. Do we actually have a lot more instability? Is there rising air over the Atlantic? All these things will be a factor on if that thing can actually produce a tropical system and try to intensify. If the Atlantic is still struggling with stability, it's stable, things are quiet, showers and storms aren't forming, and guess what? You're not going to get a tropical system forming. You'll still have a tropical wave, but it's going to be absent of showers and thunderstorms. And so we'll just have to wait and see next week. But signs point, as again, it would be shocking to not see something trying to form out here later next week. That's the good news, though. We're talking about next week, and this is a long ways out. Whenever something is this far out in the Atlantic, if it's right there, oftentimes you're still 10 days away from it ever getting to the United States. The fact that it's there means we're probably over nearly 2 weeks away from this, if it ever is, being an issue for the United States. Now, the Caribbean islands, Cuba, Puerto Rico, all the way down here, you need to watch this towards the end of next week, especially the islands here. You'll want to watch this closer through next week. But for the U.S. here, it's just one of those checking in daily to see how things are evolving. Now, what do the different models show? Well, I can show you at least the GFS and the European models. Notice they don't think Invest 96 is going to do anything. I mean, the GFS has a little weak thing, but overall, no big problem there. As we go out in time, you can see that tropical wave. The GFS and the European model are showing a similar outlook here. Here we are next Thursday. You can see they're showing maybe we do have something trying to form. Now, whether it can organize quickly or not was yet to be decided, but that's got our attention. But I tell you what, Invest 96 also looked the same a week out in model land. And so again, models here seem to be struggling with what's actually happening in the Atlantic. And again, the overall message here is we just got to sit and wait, but that's what we're seeing right now. We do think this corridor here in about a week's time could actually start to wake up if the Atlantic moves into a more favorable environment. This is all normal. We're heading into the peak of season. We're climbing our mountain right now. We're about here. I think August 20th beyond is when we really get into the heart of hurricane season. September is the heart of it for sure, and then October as well. That's going to do it for your tropical weather impact for your Friday, August 8th. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Don't be stressing about the tropics. We'll be back here all week next week updating you on what's going on out there in the Atlantic. Have a great weekend.